What about the other extreme, Father? When viewer asks what they should do if they happen to find themselves overwhelmed by all the various private devotions that they have committed to pray.
Well, if they find themselves overwhelmed, so that they have assigned a task of praying so many prayers, they're actually taking away from the very essence of the prayer, that is raising your mind and your heart to God, because you're fretting about getting through them all. And that's a distraction sewn into that. Someone might be motivated by high ideals to say, well, I've got to pray all these prayers because God is so great and I owe this to him and so on. I've got so many people to pray for and so on. They'd be much better off, though, simply saying, look, I'm going to devote this half an hour of my life, this hour of my life each day, this 15 minutes of my life each day. I'm going to be devoting this time, and I'm going to give myself wholeheartedly to prayer, turning my attention to God, turning my affection to God, and freely, and offering prayers to God with my mind and my heart fully engaged in that. Otherwise, he could pray reams and reams of prayers. He could pray volumes and volumes of prayers, and not pray for one moment, because not one word of those would be with recollection, with real attention to God, and with affection to God. But he's, in a sense, kind of running a marathon. This is all it is. So at what point is he just praying to satisfy himself and not God? By saying, okay, I got all these prayers in, thank goodness. It's like a priest praying the breviary. You know, the divine office. The priest is obliged to pray the divine office every day. And priests can say, well, gee, I mean, this is like an hour and a half of my life here. I've got a lot of things going on. I've got to pray this as fast as I can get through it. And, so that God can say, okay, he did it. He fulfilled that obligation today. Ordinarily, it's an obligation that obliges him under pain of mortal sin. If he neglects it without any good reason, there are good reasons. If he has to make a call to somebody who's dying, certainly. If he has other serious obligations, then those obligations can take precedence. And he has to very prudently understand that. And that's where superiors come in handy. If you have doubts, you can ask them, right? In good conscience, then you can follow what they say. But in any case, someone who, as it were, books for himself all these prayers to say, is really often detracting from the very nature of them as prayer, and just looking at it as some kind of task, chore, rather than actual prayer. You'd be better off cutting it in half, or even down to a tenth of it, whatever it might be. But really, at that time, during that time, giving the time fully to God, with his attention and his affection, and really engaging in actual prayer.
Well, okay. All right, that's helpful. Thank you, Father.